Good morning, besties. Good afternoon to West Coast to East Coast besties. And happy Sunday to everyone else. I just woke up like 30 minutes ago. So, I just am showing up today. I don't have any notes. I'm going to pull cards first and let the cards inspire the conversation. But I'm happy to be here. Happy to see you guys. How are you guys doing? I feel like last week was definitely a very long build to that Mars Saturn opposition. How was it? How was it for you all? Please do share. For me, well, first I'll say um Madison posted on her Sidereal Maven account Mars in self-protection post that was really, really good. I thought all of them were spot on. But the one for Virgo Mars, since that's where Virgo is right now, definitely landed, especially based on our conversation the last couple of weeks, where it says, Virgo Mars, I have to protect myself against making costly mistakes. I do this by creating fine-tuned systems that produce consistent results and by practicing reasonable levels of self-doubt when checking my own work. As a result of this, I am able to master my skill sets and perform well in high-pressure scenarios. I was like, okay, purr. She also did the one for Leo Mars, which super duper landed for me. So I love to see that. So yeah, if you haven't checked out that post and you want to learn a little something about your Mars sign, go check that out on Sidereal Maven's Instagrams and their Patreon too, probably. Yeah, so I do feel like that opposition was absolutely about uncertainty and a lot of fear around making the wrong decision or trying to avoid making a wrong decision. And I did say, and it ended up having it kind of validated by my therapist, that you just make decisions and decisions have outcomes, and then you deal with those outcomes by making more decisions and so on and so forth. So, obviously when we know better, we have to do better. And then also sometimes we just have to act. And I think something I maybe didn't emphasize enough, or maybe I did and just don't remember because I just say things and then I forget that I say them, and then y'all remind me later that I said something and I'm like, oh, I said that. But I think because this Mars transit is ruled by Mercury in Cancer, and Venus and Jupiter are both ruled by Mercury in Cancer as well, there is a bit of, I'm going to do this because I want to. I'm going to do this because it feels good. I'm going to do this because I want to. There's just a lot of making a decision in the present moment based on the present moment versus maybe too much foresight or too much anticipation of what might happen there. I think there was a battle between that. So curious, yeah, if that's how that was for you guys. There was also the Capricorn full moon. All of these aspects just perfected yesterday morning. So we're freshly broken from that hellscape. However, the aftermath of that is, I think, what we're contending with through the rest of Mars's aspects through mutable signs. Oh, excuse me. So this week, the transits that we're dealing with are tomorrow, Mercury stationing direct. which kind of snuck up on me. I thought we had a little bit longer before Mercury was paused in the sky. Clearly, it's been held up in the sky the last couple of days. And we also have Venus conjunct Jupiter on Tuesday. And that's a big aspect. For me, I'm in a Jupiter year, but that's a big aspect as well. We went from a malefic opposition with Mars and Saturn to a benefic conjunction with Venus and Jupiter, which is cute. So I think that opposition is part of an indicator that whatever this opposition just ignited or whatever just broke out as a result of this opposition separating is kind of written in the context or the narrative that comes out of the Venus Jupiter conjunction. I would expect the cards to say something about that. And then finally on Saturday this week, the sun will enter Leo. So we will fully be in eclipse season by the end of the week. We already had an intro to eclipse season with Mars in Leo before Mars entered Virgo the previous 6-ish weeks. So now the sun will move through Leo pretty much by itself. I don't know that we'll have, well, not that I don't know, we won't really have other planets in Leo besides the eclipses in Leo and Aquarius whenever the moon moves around to Leo and Aquarius. So eclipse season is back, and our mutable madness summer is peaking already. So let's see what the cards have to say about that. But first, good morning, Dr. Deb. Good morning, Sloan. Good morning, Hillary. Oh, so good to see you. I got to spend the full moon at a car seat headrest concert. Very cool. Okay. Lots of people at the Greek theater were masked, which was great to see. I love that. Yes, yeah, COVID definitely making its next round as we speak. But I have seen some good news on the Novavax vaccine. If anybody's had at least 2 Novavax vaccines, it looks like we are thoroughly protected in a long-lasting way, more than the mRNA vaccines. So if you have an opportunity to get a Novavax vaccine whenever the updated ones drop next month, I think, definitely do that. I will be looking to get my booster as well. I'm on a one booster a year schedule personally instead of every 6 months. But big fan of Novavax. Would not take it at the same time as the flu shot like I did last year though. That wasn't a lovely experience. Cuz usually I don't have a reaction to Novavax, but I think the flu vaccine and the Novavax vaccine was like just felt kind of icky for 24, 36 hours. So anywho, our card pool today is brought to you by the beloved Black Tarot. For those who are curious, and actually I need to grab the book just in case I need it. Hey Samaje, of course, as soon as I mention cards, Samaje pulls up. Love to see you here, darling. Haven't had Novavax. I've tried Pfizer and Moderna. I've also had the whole medley, but I've only stuck to Novavax since I've been able to get it. So they have it at most pharmacies now. I know RFK and them, Junior and them might be trying to obstruct people's access, but while we still have access before they go away, definitely try to get it if you haven't gotten it already. Hold on one second while I grab the book. All right. So yeah, if you're just joining, I was just saying that I don't have any notes today. I'm going to let the cards tell me what we need to think about. I think the aspects, because, Mercury direct and Venus conjunct Jupiter, like we already know what Mercury's been doing. So it's not like I have anything new to say about Mercury direct necessarily, other than it's stationing direct. So phase 3 of whatever your Mercury retrograde story is about to commence. And then the Venus Jupiter conjunction, I mean, it's the beginning of a cycle. So my hope is that the cards just give us a heads up of what is being born in this moment. And I think in some ways conjunctions can be ending of cycles as well. In some of my personal card readings this week, I've gotten the world card twice in the context position. So that says a lot to me about this being a completion of a cycle and moving into a new phase of life for all of us. So yeah, and then of course, like I said, eclipse season this weekend. So we are calling on, I am calling on elevated and healed ancestors and spirits this morning. Thank you for your infinite wisdom, insight, and guidance. Thank you for my lovely audience and friends who are on the live today. Spirits, we just come to you with a curious mind and an open heart about these upcoming transits and their longer lasting impacts. We got Mercury direct, Venus conjunct Jupiter, and the Sun entering Leo to set off eclipse season. What can we expect? What will we need to overcome or navigate? And how should we move through this energy, this time? We just ask that the messages come through with clarity, that they are concise and direct, and that the girly's edges remain intact as much as possible. And so it is. Ashe. Amen. Oop. Oh. My gosh, I keep dropping all the cards. Can I please get my life together? Oh, I saw some really pretty ones fall out. Okay, give me a couple more shuffles. I gotta lock in. I just gotta lock in. That feels good. Okay. Cool. First card of the day. Let's go with who is that? Daughter of Baskets? Daughter of Baskets. Is that Paige? I can't remember if daughter is Page or Knights. I think it's Page of Cups. Is it Page of Cups, Samaje? I don't pull daughters very often in this deck. Sorry, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, daughter is Knights. Yeah, they are Knights. Okay, thank you, Bestie. Yeah. So Knight of Cups. Well, I do also love this card. I think that feels very loud to me. That feels very loud to me in my personal life. Daughter of Cups, Knight of Cups. She on a move. So real, so true. Very fitting for all of these water transits, these Cancer transits, and kind of what I was talking about a minute ago with Mercury ruling all of these, Mercury and Cancer ruling all of these Gemini and Virgo transits. And sometimes you just do stuff because you want to, but you gonna do it. This is usually the like helpless romantic card. This is the acting on, sometimes this is like a rose colored glasses card, but it's definitely moving with your heart, with your feelings. with your emotions, letting them lead the way and kind of following behind them. There is a little bit of caution against deluding yourself into something that may or may not be true or real, but there is also, again, moving with an open heart and an open mind towards something that you desire. So I do think there's a little bit of that, a little bit of impulsiveness in this card as well. Um, but yeah, Knight of Cups as our context. So then our first card from the spread. Oh. Oh. And our second card, I'm just pull them all real quick so I don't hold the whole deck. Yeah. All right. So Knight of Cups as our context. I'll show y'all one more time. Beautiful card. She on the move, like Smajay said. And then we have Seven of Coins. Seven of Coins is Seven of Pentacles. Look at this queen. Gorgeous. The lighting on this camera is not as great, but this card is very gold in person and it feels very warm. I love that. Our middle card is Two of Coins, so Two of Pentacles. Look at our man's here juggling some shells. Are those shells? Yeah, juggling some shells. Cute. Two of Pentacles. And then our final card is the Magician yet again. We've gotten this card recently too. Another very warm feeling card. Also kind of reminds me of Ariel on that rock. Part of your world. Out where they stay all day in the sun. I missed that note. That's fine though. Okay. What the hell does this mean? I want to nail down a solid description for Knight of Cups. Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? That's so magician too. Oh, so funny. Good morning, Jim. Come through vocals. I have my deep voice, my sleepy voice today. All right. Come on. I just gotta lock in. I just gotta lock in. I'm just gonna say for now, Daughter of Baskets. What immediately came to me when seeing that card in this context was leading with your heart, leading with your emotions in the actions that you take. A little bit less concerned for the long term outcomes and a little bit more present in the moment, I think. Seven of Coins. Conversely, sevens tend to be more reflective. Seven of Pentacles, especially, is reflecting on sometimes your accomplishments or your achievements, reflecting on things you've already done, things that yeah, reflecting on previous accomplishments, reflecting on like material accomplishments and skills. And I think there's a little bit of contemplation about what to do next, where to go next. So, I mean, I think that feels appropriate for this Mars and Virgo energy in the sense that some advice that I usually give Virgo people whenever they're dealing with uncertainty, and this is any Virgo placement, not just Mars, but there's always this need to remind Virgos that, like, hey, I know the future is uncertain, but like, look at what you've already accomplished. Look at what all the things you've already done. And in some ways, it's like all the decisions you've made up to this point got you to this point. And even the wrong, quote, wrong decisions that you've made up to this point still got you to this point. So, you know, a lot of people will say that they don't live life with regrets because if they hadn't done what they did at a certain point, they wouldn't be here. You know, they wouldn't be where they are today. They wouldn't have the insights or the knowledge or whatever they learned from that experience. They wouldn't have that information if they hadn't made the decisions that they made, right or wrong. So I think this is another kind of challenge to this idea that things are that black and white. It's speaking a little bit more to the nuance. And I think if we're talking about a Venus Jupiter conjunction coming up, there's something to be said for reflecting on how you used to be in relationships and connections, or the stories that you have previously relied on to help you navigate certain social relational situations and contexts, and recognizing that today is different than it used to be, so you're allowed to move differently with the resources that you have now versus um, maybe what you had or what you knew back then. I think that in a lot of ways kind of sums up the entire reading, but I'm gonna keep going. So yeah, 7 of coins in our kind of situation position. Our obstacle, more or less, or just kind of the challenge of the moment, is 2 of coins. So 2 of pentacles. Like I said, he's juggling 2 shells here. Usually this card is about either feeling like you're trying to manage multiple projects at once, multiple ideas at once, or you're trying to, again, make a decision. Twos, I think, are a lot of trying to decide on something, trying to figure out a way forward, or trying to manage multiple things at once. And yeah, juggling priorities is a good way to put it. Thank you, Deb. Juggling priorities. Ooh, I really like that, actually. Juggling priorities. That that makes me curious if we're thinking about, because this is the one that falls right below Daughter of Baskets in the spread. If Daughter of Baskets is about leading with your heart, and in some ways like going off of impulses, you could also call that intuition in this case with Cancer and Pisces transits. Then priorities, it's like you're prioritizing how you feel in a moment instead of maybe prioritizing how you feel because of the context of Daughter of Baskets, because it's not 2 of Cups, but 2 of Cups is also a different thing. So I think the challenge of the moment is to discern what your feelings mean. What do your feelings mean, and how, and based on the meaning you give to those feelings, um what feels most aligned or most important or most relevant towards the outcome that you desire, especially in terms of Daughter of Baskets, I guess. Because I feel like, I don't know, as much as Knight of Cups, let me just look at something real quick. Hold on. I'm trying not to be too biased right now. Because Knight of Cups is a I think it's a pleasant card, right? All the cards have some level of caution to them, but I don't know. I just think there's something I'm missing. Yeah. So, oh, that's wands. I need baskets. Thank you. Yeah, Daughter of Baskets. We're talking about romance and idealism. A woman walks forth into a lavender field, basket in hand. She advances with her heart on her sleeve, able to share her emotions without embarrassment or fear. She knows that challenging and heavy feelings allow for healing. Oh. Daughter of Baskets symbolizes love in all forms, romantic, platonic, and familial. She holds the power to ignite and reignite adoration in relationships. I love that line for the upcoming Jupiter Venus conjunction. I'll read that again. She holds the power to ignite and reignite adoration in friendships. This card is assigned to remind others of their magic when they've forgotten it. Let them know that they matter, are loved, and are worthy. So, this can be about charm, inspiration, commitment, and idealism. It can also be about rejection, spiritual blocks, materialism, and suppressed feelings. So, the line that stands out to me the most is definitely um, the power to ignite and reignite adoration in relationships. I think, especially during a time of uncertainty, during a time where, if we're talking about that malefic opposition that just passed, and maybe this Two of Coins kind of represents that opposition that just passed. And this idea that there's the black and the white, the right or the wrong, what's most important to you versus what's least important to you, the desired outcome of moving with certain feelings and feeling feelings in general. Like, I think the Knight of Cups is the reminder that, like, we are love, you know, that moving in love and in kindness and in desire is not necessarily a bad thing. And, if we are talking about a Venus Jupiter conjunction here, that kind of makes me wonder about our relationship with desire as a society, as a culture. I think a lot of desire, I don't know where this is coming from, so I'm gonna go with it, but I think a lot of our understanding of desire kind of reminds, like, in the systems that we live in, it reminds me of, what am I trying to say? We've replaced desire with ambition, and ambition usually being like career focused or like work focused or capitalism focused in some kind of a way. Um, and especially that caution against materialism, like we are trying to get the bag up, in society. We want to move up a couple tax brackets. We want to have nice things. We're competing with the Joneses. Like there's a lot of, I think, our desire and that emotion being captured and instead devoted towards material things, devoted towards consumerism, just devoted towards getting ahead in life in the in the rat race of capitalism versus desire that was originally desire that is relational, desire that is about connection, desire that is about cultivating safety in relationships and I don't know, just like this entitlement to feel good and to not feel wrong for wanting to feel good, you know? I think if we consider how Mars and Virgo cooking that Knight of Cups, well, because it just feels like what? I don't know. I maybe I'm projecting, but it feels relevant to the full moon as well because it was a full moon in Capricorn, and like Capricorn and Virgo, they want to be practical, they want to be pragmatic, they withhold and they repress, and um but they also, again, back to the 7 of coins, they also are the evidence of what is real and what's tangible and what we've experienced. So in some ways the 2 of coins in this position does kind of feel like, can I allow myself to have nice things? Do I allow myself to feel desire? Like, am I worthy of desire? Am I worthy of pleasure? Am I worthy of just going after something just because I want it? um this is my interpretation of it. It's not all good to me. It's the I will feel good no matter what's in the way, which can get dangerous real quick. That's a good point too. I would agree it's not all good. Um, but I still have these questions about our relationship to desire in this culture where our nervous systems and emotions are weaponized against us, or rather manipulated into like these material things. But I will feel good no matter what's in the way, which can get dangerous real quick. Yeah. So then in that case, 2 of coins is trying to balance feeling good in a practical way versus feeling good in the numbing way. Feeling good in the present moment, like living in the present moment and getting a lot of fulfillment out of your decisions versus maybe overlooking the truth of a situation in order to feel good, even if later it ends up not turning out the way that you hoped or something. Um, so the 2 of coins, 2 of pentacles, I think is trying to find some level of balance between both of those things. And then the magician as our resource, as our tool for how to move forward. And as the only major arcana in this spread. Hmm. What do we think about the magician in this context? Have you ever had a Krispy Kreme? Was it crispy? Right, right. Come back into focus, please. Thank you. Okay. I don't know where that came from. The magician, child. He really just woke up. I do feel warm though. The magician is action and power. It's also a yes. A man stands on a rock at the edge of the ocean and waves crash around him. His body is adorned with the tattoos of the suits and the tools at his disposal. The suits honor the four directions and four elements. His presence in nature symbolizes his connection with inner consciousness and the outer world. I like that line. I'm going to read it again. His presence in nature symbolizes his connection with inner consciousness and the outer world. The magician embodies the energy of manifestation, willpower, and determination. He is a conduit of both the material and spiritual realms. He is the reminder to turn dreams into reality, knowing you have anything you need to put your plan into action. All creation is possible with discipline, the most potent form of self love. Well, you see, redefining hedonism feels like a chance for the magician to play. Ooh, okay, come through with the bars here. Um, yeah. Well, that changes things in terms of this daughter of baskets because we're back on that determination that knights usually run with. And then again, and then also turning dreams into reality. So there's something about it asks three questions in this deck. They ask questions under the majors. Someone asks y'all hear me? Sorry, my mic. Someone help me with my mic. Uh yeah, extended reading. Yeah, sorry, I came back. Um so when the magician card is pulled, it's time to consider the following. Do you have a plan? What is needed to live out your dream? That's the first question. Second question. Are you using your skills, talents, and abilities to their full and most authentic potential? And then finally, do you love yourself enough to give yourself everything you have ever wanted? So, again, do you have a plan? What is needed to live out your dream? Are you using your skills, talents, and abilities to their full and most authentic potential? And do you love yourself enough to give yourself everything you've ever wanted? So, we're back on this desire thing again. Sorry, it came through. I'm going with it. Especially after a Capricorn full moon. Like, hello, a Capricorn full moon and a malefic opposition. I mean, we are talking about benefics. Like, yes, Daughter Baskets is not always a positive card. And to be fair, I do think Venus and Jupiter can also be malefics in their own right, for lack of a better way to put it. But traditionally speaking, we are talking about a conjunction of benefics after an opposition of malefics. The opposition was so much about um discipline and self-restraint and honoring or or redefining, or rather defining, maybe not redefining, one's um limitations and restrictions, and practicing some level of self-control in order to get to, well, one, in order to get through the week, but again, to kind of ration what's been available to us. Whereas this spread is kind of saying there's more available to us maybe than we realize, or there's an opportunity here to reconnect or to embrace desire and uh determination even in a way that is again authentic to ourselves, maybe not so much influenced by these larger systems, but just kind of getting back to what feels good and honest to us on just like a human level, on an emotional level. So um rather than doing the Cancer thing of I'm going to feel good no matter what, that kind of requires you to ignore reality in some ways. There is a call to say, like, okay, if you want, like, rather than just feeling good for the sake of feeling good, which I also think can be daughter of baskets, let's say, okay, you're feeling good with like what purpose, what intention, like, where is this meant to go? I think it's speaking to letting it have direction rather than letting it be aimless. Um, something to be said for or there being a question somewhere about like, do you like it because you like it, or do you like it because they're telling you to, like, uh does it is are you like in a wound while you're pursuing this good feeling? Are you in your wound whenever you are just trying to like how do I say this? It's like right there. Um are you in your wound? Like, are you moving from a wounded place, or are you moving from a what's the opposite of wounded? Are you moving from an authentic place? Like, are you moving from a place that is real and true to the person that you are today, or are you responding to old wounds? I think that's what I'm trying to say. And letting that influence your desire for whatever this feeling is that you're seeking out. Which is kind of interesting with Leo transits coming up as well in these eclipses. Slight tangent. Maybe this is related. Maybe it's not. I mean, it's got to be related because it's all in the spread, right? But this Leo stuff I've been reflecting on after Mars and Leo, and just how much that transit really was about like reckoning with the version of yourself that exists today versus the version of yourself, maybe still seeing yourself as an older version of yourself, and really getting clear on what you're capable of and your identity in the present moment versus maybe all the projections you've ever internalized, or all the versions of yourself that you've been in the past, or holding on to these like old perceptions and allowing yourself to actually grow out of those and be someone, I don't know, again, be a more authentic version of yourself today, and dealing with the shame and the fear of, or rather dealing with the shame and the overcompensation that comes with that shame, and trying to be somebody else instead of just accepting that like this is who I am, flaws and all, because then there could also be something in this about the desire for validation, the desire for approval, the desire for things that feed your ego, in the sense that things that feed your ego in the sense that you're performing for everybody else and wanting everyone else to see you a certain way versus just seeing yourself accurately. Because if you have these expectations of yourself that are unrealistic to who you actually are, you're going to find yourself in situations where you feel like an imposter. You're going to find yourself in situations where you feel like you don't deserve to be there, and you just end up what's it called? Uh what's it called? Not self-destruction. What is it? What am I thinking of? Self-sabotaging. You will find yourself self-sabotaging um a situation that maybe you really do deserve. That whole thing of going after things that you actually want, like ways that you're holding yourself back, and maybe instead pursuing these cheap desires or these inauthentic desires instead of going for what it is that you actually want. And in some ways, I think you need to be tapped into how you feel and wanting it to feel, again, not good at all costs, but like it doesn't have to all be this laborious, painful suffering, in order for your wins to be real. Like sometimes the quote suffering is in the discipline and the self-restraint and the self-control to let something build up over time, or to play the long game, right? Or to not react in a specific moment to what's going on and just like be ran by your feelings, but to be more curious about how to be more curious about why you maybe feel as intensely as you do towards certain things or others. So I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of self-reflection and contemplation in this spread that is definitely indicative of the beginning of a new cycle, but it's also there's just a lot of question marks in like where is this going? And I think that is the question with Two of Coins being in the center. Like, where is this going? And um rather than moving in fear and in avoidance, how can you move in intentionality and in a more clear, authentic pursuit of something that is achievable and attainable for the person that you are, but that also just feels real and good. Because yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would feel remiss if we came out of a Capricorn full moon during a Mercury retrograde in Cancer, and we haven't learned how to be in right relationship with feeling good. So for some of you, that may mean needing to dial back, to pull back and to exercise a little bit more discipline. Um, and for some of you, it may mean needing to relinquish control a little bit and let yourself pursue something because it feels good. I would advise taking the opposite um position that you would normally take and just kind of see what that brings up for you and how that feels to navigate the circumstance in that way. And when you are embodying that disposition, right, of either restraint or pursuit, what comes up for you? Like, what insecurities come up for you? What stories or narratives do you notice yourself telling yourself about occupying that way of being? Or when you see somebody else occupying that way of being, like, what does it bring up for you? And how does that affect the decisions you make and the way that you move, you know? It's I was let me see how I can describe this without revealing personal information. Um, because this came up in a reading with a client this past week that just really hit the nail on the head. I think it was about okay, yeah, so without getting into their personal details, this actually okay, I think I got it. I think I got it. Okay, so we were having this conversation about when we're talking about narrative forming, right? Because that's a big um theme of this Saturn and Pisces transit and then this Jupiter transit through Gemini. And when I talk about narrative forming and just also becoming aware of the narratives and stories you tell yourself, it's not always obvious. And so to catch it really takes giving yourself a chance to slow down. And, if we come back to this daughter of baskets, like, it's very easy to, when a feeling comes up, to rush to soothe it, right? We talk about that with Cancer transits a lot too. Whenever a feeling comes up, you rush to relieve yourself, to soothe it, to feel better in some kind of a way. And a lot of times that can look like avoidance. It can look like running away from the feeling. It can look like just making yourself busier. It can look like never slowing down enough to hear your own thoughts, which I do think is something that Gemini, myself as a Gemini, other Gemini struggle with, is there's so many thoughts in your mind, and this goes for everybody because Gemini transits right now, especially Jupiter and Gemini. There can be so many thoughts in your head that point to all kinds of different things or in all different directions. And instead of sitting down and really parsing those thoughts out, or even just sitting down to observe one thought at a time and explore it a little bit more, instead of just letting it kind of pass and be fleeting while you distract yourself with infinite other stimuli, it's like sitting in silence for a moment with no distractions to just observe yourself and see what you're thinking about, what thoughts are just kind of hanging out with you on autopilot on a regular basis that you don't really pay attention to. Because the truth is, um a lot of those thoughts are tied to physical sensations in your body or feelings in your body. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're telling 100% the truth of a specific moment. They could be speaking to experiences in the past. They could be speaking to anticipated experiences, whatever. But like, I need an example for y'all. So like, if I'm feeling anxious one day, and instead of really sitting with the fact that I feel anxious and acknowledging that, and like sitting with the heart palpitations in my chest and the knots in my stomach, I decide to go to the gym and work out. I'm not really sitting with my feelings. I'm not really like taking a moment to self reflect. I'm trying to soothe the anxiety by going to the gym. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a great coping strategy. But what gets missed in that process is me sitting with my feelings and asking myself what's really going on with me. Like, why am I having this feeling? What are these feelings trying to tell me? Because I wouldn't be feeling them for nothing. They don't exist for nothing. They are there. And feelings are information, right? And so that's part of it, right? Is that the feelings are present. I want them to go away, so I take this action to soothe those feelings, whether the action is positive or negative or whatever. The other thing is, okay, once I do sit down and I really embrace and acknowledge those feelings and I let them kind of come over me for the duration of the intensity in that moment, usually 90 seconds to feel the fullness of a feeling. What stories, what thoughts come up in relation to those feelings? So if it's anxiety for me, um, I don't know, just make something up. Like I'm feeling anxious one day, and then I just sit and I'm like, okay, what am I actually nervous about? Like, what is this feeling trying to tell me? Hey Jada, oh my gosh, hello. What is this feeling trying to tell me? I could easily go into some kind of self-defeating or uh some kind of self-doubt, or some kind of like, oh, I must be feeling this way because I am a terrible person and I made this bad decision and so many bad things are going to happen because da 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 da. Like I could just start spinning out, because those are the thoughts that just naturally come up with this feeling of anxiety in my chest and my stomach. And then whenever I actually take in the situation that I'm responding to, let's say I have a presentation at work or something, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling anxious because I don't want to mess this presentation up. I don't want to embarrass myself. There's already a narrative there that says if I do this presentation, I'm going to embarrass myself. Because why? Then I ask myself further, okay, why do I feel like I'm going to embarrass myself? Is it because I think I don't know the material? Is it because I really want to impress my boss? Is it because I want to make sure people get the right information? Like, what is the root of me wanting to do a really good job in this case? And then if the answer is like, okay, I want to impress my boss. I want to impress my coworkers, whatever. Then it's like there's an opportunity to acknowledge that maybe they're already impressed. Otherwise, you wouldn't be the person doing the presentation, right? They would have picked somebody else if they didn't think you were capable of it. So um, instead of running with this narrative that like, I'm not good enough, I'm not going to do a good enough job, what if I don't know enough? Then you can replace it with, I must know enough. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been selected for this job. So what's already within me that I'm not like, what's literally what's already within me that I'm not acknowledging in this moment? And instead I'm not relying on, but instead of acknowledging who I am in this moment and what I'm capable of, there's like a younger version of me who maybe did a presentation and got, I don't know, and got the information wrong or said the wrong thing or whatever. Um, maybe my anxiety is responding to not wanting to recreate that moment from the past. And so it's hard for me to be present in the current moment and really trust my gifts and my abilities because a younger version of me is still scared and still worried. So by then sitting with those narratives and being like, oh, okay, so it's not that I'm not capable, it's not that I'm not competent, it's that there was a time that I wasn't, or there was a time where I didn't know what I know today, and I need to give myself grace for that, or I need to, I don't know, insert actual way of soothing those um soothing those feelings in a way that's relevant to myself today as an adult versus still being in that childhood wound of wanting validation, right? In terms of wanting to impress your boss or wanting a perfectionism as a way to avoid criticism, right? If you were criticized a lot as a child, it probably feels threatening to be criticized as an adult, different things like that. So whenever I talk about forming new narratives, that's really what I mean is your body holds all the stories of your life and can kind of play mind tricks on you that that rather than them being, I won't even want to phrase it as it like being a lie or it being you lying to yourself or deceiving yourself, but it's just literally like outdated stories. Those stories might have applied at one time. They don't necessarily apply in this situation. And the only way to differentiate the past from the present is to actually sit and be present with what you're feeling in a moment and to investigate. Is this true and real for me right now? Or was this true and real for me at one point, but now my circumstances have changed? And with that new information, what is something that I can do different? How can I show up for myself different? And how can I allow myself to have this thing that I crave? If validation is the thing that we're talking about, since the sun's going to be in Leo soon, how can I go about getting the validation that I do deserve, that I am entitled to, without having to self-abandon in the process, without having to lie to myself in the process, or without having to posture over very real feelings and vulnerable feelings and truths about myself, um, instead of just overcompensating and putting on this performance and doing whatever that is not really me, that's not sustainable, that I can't do all the time. And why do I feel like I'm just airing out my own business? I mean, that kind of fits for me personally. Maybe I'm Freudian slipping again, but I did just agree. I've been okay. This is relevant to me actually. That's so funny. I've been contemplating over the last few weeks, like at work, I've been dealing with, because I'm in this new job. This is month April, May, June, July, August, month 5 at my new job, and I've kind of just been playing it safe in a lot of ways. I've been learning, obviously I'm learning a new role, and um just starting to get to a place where I feeling more comfortable in this position of authority, just in terms of like being someone who helps students out, right? And my boss is always asking, like, if you can think of any workshops that you want to host for students, or if you want to host one of these workshops that my coworker hosts, that both of us, used to work in testing, which is the last job that I was in. I know everything I would need to know in order to host that workshop. And I've thought about it over the last few weeks, like, okay, what's a way that I can push myself a little bit more than how I have been, because now I feel like I'm ready to maybe take on more of a challenge. And the thing that keeps coming up that gives me the most anxiety is like doing workshops or doing presentations of whatever kind, because even though I come on here and I do public speaking stuff with y'all, like even in my own business, doing workshops always gave me anxiety. Hosting Zooms and hosting workshops always gave me so much anxiety because I want to do a good job, because I want to be impressive to you guys, because I want to impress myself. And so I've noticed I do have a hang up around that whenever it comes to this job. And I'll usually, um, I've been kind of avoiding it, even though part of me has been like wanting to say, hey, I'd be willing to do this workshop also. Like I know everything I would need to know for it. It's just a matter of getting up and doing it. But I'd be scared. So I've just kind of been putting it off and playing it safe. And the result of me doing that and placating those feelings, letting myself feel safe by not challenging myself, is kind of just keeping me in the same position that I'm not like pushing myself to grow in an appropriate way for myself, right? So I was presented with an opportunity to start hosting those workshops every other time, or at least half of the workshops that my coworker would be hosting, and taking on that responsibility. And I just agreed to it because I know that it's something I've been thinking about, and I wasn't going to say no to the opportunity, but I do be scared. So that's a good example of like, okay, so instead of just being scared and not acting, stagnating, um letting myself take up more space in that way, and not feeling like I have to overcompensate. Like, one, I don't have to be as great as my coworker is at doing it, in the sense that she can be herself and do it in the way that's great for her. We were actually just talking about this yesterday, but the envy that I could feel, right? Or the inferiority that I could feel, or the, I don't know, just feeling like I'm not as good as her because I haven't been doing it as long. Like all of those things could seep in. Or I could continue to uplift and validate her and her way that she does it. And I could also acknowledge the things that I would have to contribute, that maybe they're different, maybe they are similar, and they just look different or packaged differently or whatever. Like I have something to offer too. And so instead of going into that self-doubt place, which I would normally go into, I could instead go into the, I have something to offer as well. And I need to let myself offer it, because it is rude to withhold your gifts from other people. All right. It is a disservice to both you and them to withhold your gifts from other people. So, yeah, that's one example of what I mean whenever I'm talking about forming new narratives. So, yeah, lots of reflection in this spread, lots of tuning into your body and your emotions and learning from your body and emotions in these spreads. And I really do feel strongly about reclaiming desire and reclaiming, um I'll even add reclaiming ambition in a way that is, or even decolonizing desire and ambition, if you want to go there with that. Because some of the things that do feel good to you just feel good to you, and maybe there's reasons why you are not allowing yourself to feel good in a way that is real and true. So I feel like I've said that a million times. So at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I hope this makes sense to you guys. Um Very, very curious how these eclipses are going to go. I also think this reading will make more sense next week or by the end of the week. What do you guys think? I don't know. I think that was pretty good for having just woken up 30 minutes ago. Well, I guess it's been an hour and a half. I woke up at 11:30, but Even that, right? For those of you who have been here for quite some time, something else I've been thinking about along this realm of being seen in presentations and whatever else is, y'all remember in October, I challenged myself to do a live every single day for 30 days or for the month of October just to get over self doubt and to get over my fears of being seen and needing to have it together and all this other stuff. Did those lives every single day. And now look, I've been doing a live once a week ever since November and I haven't stopped and I've only gotten more comfortable doing them to the point that I could wake up at 11:30, come on live at noon and still read cards for you guys and just babble my thoughts and still come up with some kind of solid message. Like that is a true testament to discipline and the long game and doing it scared and allowing yourself to form new narratives about yourself and your capabilities and your discernment and whatever else. Like I'm living it out for you. So that was my intention in doing this live anyway, because I could have canceled. I did think about it and I was like, no, I made a promise to you guys a long time ago that even if I only came on for 15, 20 minutes, that I would come on and talk to you and say hello at the very least. And if I had gems to drop, I would drop gems. And if not, at least I came on and said hello and let myself be seen and saw you guys. So there's also that living testament of my intentions and convictions. Okay. Period, period, period. Come through Sagittarius perfection. So anyway, I think that's a good place to land. I don't have anything else to add at this moment. Very curious to see how we feel next Sunday once all of this is passed and the sun is officially fully in Leo. Feel free, if you are watching this back at a later time, to drop me a comment and let me know how that opposition was for you and how the Mercury retrograde has been for you, how these conjunctions and sign changes and eclipses are going. Like, let me know, fill me in. And otherwise, books are still open every Monday, every other Wednesday. Book you a slot and follow me on Patreon in the off chance that I decide to write a little something something. And like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for showing up along with me to get this good word. I appreciate you guys so much. I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Take care, drink water, go to bed on time. Oh, did y'all go to bed on time this week? I would think I went to bed every day this week except for it was either Wednesday or Thursday I stayed up late. But other than that, I went to bed all week and it made a big difference. So I hope it made a big difference for you too. And if you didn't work it out last week, try again this week. It is never too late to begin again. Okay, I'm done. I love y'all so much. I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you. Bye.